Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today let's cover the last topic in the introduction of unit 1, which is homeostasis. This is one of the important topic which is more frequently asked in your semester exams. Homeostasis means homeo is the sameness. Stasis is standing still. So to go deep into this homeostasis, to know its definition, we have to first know why is this homeostasis important. This is useful for maintaining the body fluids composition and volume. The volume and the composition of body fluid will be maintained by this homeostasis. So I said in the previous videos that a group of cells together constitute a tissue. These cells will be surrounded by some fluids. The fluid which is present inside this cell, it is called as intracellular fluid, and the fluid that is present outside the cell is called as extracellular fluid, and the fluid that is present in between these narrow spaces is called interstitial fluid. So why is it important to know these fluids? Because here the ECF plays a major role. Why? Because this is serving as an internal environment. So the ECF, based on the presence of ECF, the name changes based on the part. If the ECF is present in so and so region, it is called in another other name. If it is present in blood vessels, it is called with other name. So depending on its presence, the name will be changed. So for example, if this ECF is present in the blood vessels, we will be calling it as the blood plasma. Similarly, if it is present in the lymphatic vessels, we will be calling it as the lymph. The same thing if it is present in the brain and spinal cord, we will be calling as cerebrospinal fluid. If it is present in the joints, we will be calling it as the synovial fluid. And if it is present in the eyes, we will call it as aqueous humor. So depending on its presence, the name changes. Normally this ECF is something that is surrounding the cell. If this is the cell, outside of this we will be having this ECF. Because why is it important? It is important because this will be allowing the proper functioning of a body cell. Because of the presence of ECF, a body cell can be properly functioned, and this ECF has two components. One is the plasma and the other one is interstitial fluid. So plasma and interstitial fluid together is called as ECF. So this will be acting as internal environment. So why am I repeating this internal environment this many times? Because the definition is based on the internal environment only. Now let us write the definition. So simply it can be defined as the process of maintaining the stable conditions in body's internal environment. Homeostasis is a process which will be continuously disturbed in our body. It is always disrupted by internal environment or external environment. If it is external environment, it can be due to the excessive heat. If it is in the internal environment, if someone has skipped their breakfast, then the blood glucose level falls drastically, so that is a problem. So to control this hemostasis, we have certain mechanisms. So how do you control this hemostasis? We'll see. I already said that the homeostasis will be changed only either because of external or internal environment. So to bring back this internal environment into the balance, we will be having two systems, which is like nervous and the endocrine. These two systems, they'll work together to get this back into the normal state. So to control this, we require a system called as the feedback system. Feedback system is necessary to get the homeostasis into normal. So what is feedback system? Cycle of events where the body status is monitored. So that is called as the feedback system. Now let us see what are the main basic important components for this feedback system. Feedback system, we have three important components in it. So the first one is receptor, second one is control center, third one is effector. What is a receptor? Receptor is nothing but one of the body structure that will be useful for monitoring the changes in the control system. If there are any monitor changes are there, that will be monitored by this receptors, and it will be, once after monitoring, this will be sending the input to the control center. It sends the input to the control center. So once it monitors the changes, it will be sending that input to the control center. So but this control center, what it does? So once it gets the input from the receptor, it will be evaluating that. It will be evaluating the input that is obtained from the receptor. Soon it will be generating one output. Once after evaluation, it will be generating the output. How does it generate this input and output? Through basic nerve impulses. So once the output is obtained, this will be sent to the effector. So this will be, effector receives the output from the control center. Thereby this will be producing the response. This effector will be producing the response. This will be the basic pathway. But here we have to know two important terms, which are receptor one will call it as the efferent pathway, whereas the effector will call it as the efferent pathway. Why is it called as efferent and efferent? So it is called as efferent pathway because the information flows towards the control center, we'll call it as efferent pathway. Why is it called as efferent pathway here? Here the information will be flowing away from the control center. It is away from the control center, so that's why it is called as efferent pathway. These are the two important terms. So let us understand this through an example now. Let's take an example. Let us take a condition of body temperature. Let us think that there is a person whose body temperature is completely decreased. The body temperature of that person is decreased. So now what happens? This information will be sent to the brain. Brain here, it acts as a control center. Brain will be the control center. So once the brain gets the information, it will be sending some sort of nerve impulses. So nerve impulses will be sent to the skeletal muscle. Why is it sending to the skeletal muscle? Because the skeletal muscles will be acting as an effector here. they will be producing some sort of result. So what will be result? If the body temperature is decreased drastically, the person will obviously get the shivering, or because of this shivering, no, there will be heat generation. So once the heat gets generates, there will be increase in the temperature of that person. This is a basic example. So we have taken one example where a person's body temperature is decreased, so it has sent some impulses to the control center, which is brain, so that has received it. Now this is sending one output to the skeletal muscle, which is acting as an effector. So the final result was the shivering and heat generation, due to which the temperature has been increased. So this is a basic example for this feedback system. So a group of receptors, effectors, control centers, if all the three are communicating together, they will be forming one feedback system. So that will be regulating a controlled condition in our body's internal environment. Now let us see, there are two types of feedback systems. One is positive feedback system, one is the positive feedback system, and the other one is negative feedback system. Let us discuss both in detail now. Now let us see the positive feedback system and negative feedback system through an example. We'll try to understand. In negative feedback system, let's take an example of BP. So we will take a condition where a person is having a faster heartbeat. Because of more heartbeat, there is high BP to that person. BP has increased. What happens in that condition? So initially we will be getting one stimulus. That is telling that the homeostasis has been disturbed, or it is disrupted. So our condition here is BP. We are taking this as a controlled condition. Once after identifying that there is increase in the BP, it will be sending the information to the receptors. Especially in case of BP, the baroreceptors will be acting. Which will be specifically present in certain blood vessels. So once this receptors have got the information, they will be sending that input in the form of nerve impulse to the control center. The control center will be brain. From there, the output will be generated. That output, through the nerve impulse, it will be reaching the effectors. In case of BP, the effectors will be heart, or it can be the blood vessels. Both will be acting. Then we will be getting one response. This response will be, what will be the response? There will be, our condition is increase in the BP and increase in the heartbeat. It will be decreasing the heart rate first. Once the heart rate gets decreased, the blood vessels will be starting to dilate, which causes the blood pressure to decrease. So this will be the response. So once it get the response, it will be returning its homeostasis, which is the balance. This is the negative feedback system. Now let us see the positive feedback system. Here we have taken an example of BP. Now in this positive feedback system, we will be taking the example of uterus contractions. So our condition here is we need contractions so that the baby's head will be pushed into the cervix. Contractions are actually increasing. Our controlled condition is to stretch the cervix. Now this information will be sent to the receptors. They will be sending the input nerve impulses to the control center, which will be brain. Now this will be giving the output in the form of nerve impulses again to the effectors. Effectors are here the muscles which are in the uterus walls. So they will be allowing forceful contractions. Why is this happening? Because from the brain we got the output to increase the oxytocin, because oxytocin is responsible for increasing the concentrations. So due to this forceful contractions, we will be getting the response. Now that response is stretching of the body, stretching of the cervix, so that the baby comes out. So thereby this will be allowing more stimulus. That means the stretching increases. Now when will the stretching get decreased? Only when the birth of the baby. Only when the baby birth happens, then this will be stretching will be reduced. If this happens, that is interrupting the cycle. So that is about the positive feedback system and the negative feedback system. It is better to make notes simultaneously by watching this, so that you will not miss any point. You can write this as it is in the semester exams. So that's all about this homeostasis. So today in this class we have tried to cover, so if there is question stating that please explain the homeostasis, then you have to cover all this: definition, introduction, how to control the homeostasis, what are the different feedback systems, is positive and negative, and what are the important components in it. And if you cover all this, then you'll be getting full marks. So that's all for this video. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.